Hi everyone, welcome to English for You. I'm Kat.
I'm Elsie.
And today we are continuing with the story of The Little Fir Tree by Hans Christian Andersen. So this fir tree is still young.
Yes.
And it's in a forest with other trees that are either young or they're really old and big and mighty.
And this fir tree wants to grow big.
Yeah.
To grow bigger and bigger and grow tall. Maybe to be as tall as the other trees.
Yeah, exactly. But it also sees that something happens to these trees in the autumn and winter. Some of them get cut down. Yeah, and he wonders, what happens to them? So the birds apparently say, oh, they become ship masts or they become Christmas trees. And when he hears about the Christmas trees, he's like, oh, I want to be a Christmas tree.
Yeah, he gets all excited.
Exactly.
Not he, it.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't know the gender.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't have a gender. So the fir tree really wants to be a Christmas tree. Yeah, so I wonder what's going to happen in this part of its story. Is it going to change its mind? Is it going to get its wish? We're going to find out in today's continuation of The Fir Tree. So let's get into it.
Reading.
The Fir Tree. Finally, the fir tree was cut down. As the axe split its body, it didn't feel happiness. It found the experience painful. It realized it would never again see its friends, the flowers, birds, and other trees. The fir tree was taken to a house and covered in decorations and gifts. A gold paper star was placed on top. The family's children danced merrily around the tree. All the decorations hurt the fir tree's slender body. The next morning, servants dragged the tree upstairs to the cold, dark attic. In spring, the tree was taken outside. It was excited for life to begin again, but its body had dried up. I didn't enjoy my life when I was younger. Now it's too late, the fir tree thought. A boy pulled the gold star off the tree and stuck it to his shirt. Then a young man cut the tree into small pieces and burned them in a fire. As it burned, the tree fondly remembered its life until it turned to ash.
So we immediately find out what happens to it in the first line of day 2. Finally, the fir tree was cut down.
最后这个梦想真的成真了，这棵树被砍倒了。
Yay!
It's like a dream come true.
Yay? Yay?
Maybe.
Not yay. It's because as the axe split its body, it didn't feel happiness.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that you're being cut down from where you're standing. Oh! No, thank you. So, of course, they're using an axe to cut it down. And an axe is one of those big tools to break apart something into pieces or along a straight line. So it's got, a head and it's got a big blade and you go hit over and over. That's an axe. Sometimes, I think a lot of times they use a chainsaw now to cut trees. But an axe would be what they use in smaller jobs. So the axe was splitting it. It was breaking it apart along a straight line because that's how you cut down a tree. And what did it not feel? Happiness. It did not feel happy. So, we got this NESS ending that makes happy into a noun. It feels happiness. It doesn't have any happiness from this because it is being cut by an axe and it probably hurts.
没错，所以我们首先看到的 X 代表是斧头，那有时候你可能会看到是 AXE， 那就是英式的拼法。那再来呢 split 这个动词三态同形特别小心，它代表的是切开劈开。那再来 happiness 这个字，它是个名词，当你看到字尾是 NESS 结尾，好，那就可以构成表示状态性质的名词，常常与形容词连用。那像是 happy 形容词是快乐的幸福的，那怎么样转变成名词呢？把 Y 拿掉，加上 INESS 就可以了。那再来还有像是 sad 变成 sadness， dark 变成 darkness.
So why is it not happy? Why does it not feel happiness? It found the experience painful.
Of course, it was painful.
Yeah, it's been having part of its body cut off, the roots.
对呀，所以他就觉得这个经验很痛苦，很不舒服。
Yeah, very. So in this sentence, we have our language in focus, and Elsie's going to tell you about that right now.
今天的 language in focus 要讲到的是呢 find, leave 还有 keep 这三个动词的用法。你可以在这三个动词的后方加上受词，再加上受词补语。那受词补语呢，用来说明受词的状态，常常使用到的呢有形容词和介系词片语。所以我们的句型是 find, leave 或是 keep。加上受词，再加上形容词或是介系词片语哦。那课文的句子里说的是 It found the experience painful。found 是我们选择的动词，然后呢，受词是 the experience， 后面加上形容词 painful。那再给同学们一个例句咯 I find this lesson interesting。我觉得这一课很有趣。那我们用 find 加上受词 this lesson， 再加上形容词 interesting。再一个例句咯 What he said left her speechless. 他说的话让她无言，不知道该说什么好。那最后一个是 Please keep the window closed. It's so noisy outside. 让窗户关着吧，外面好吵。
Right, so the tree felt a lot of pain as it was being cut down, and probably after being cut down, it realized it would never again see its friends, the flowers, birds, and other trees. So it was being taken from the forest, and it wouldn't see these things anymore. Never again means not anymore, not anytime in the future. It's basically a promise to not do something after doing it before. I will never again try 苦瓜.
Oh,
I don't like it.
You hate it.
I probably will sometime in the future, but like, it's not my favorite thing. But you will never again see something. It means you can say goodbye to it now because it will not show up in your life again.
没错，所以 never again 代表就是用于要强调这个某事绝对再也不会发生。So for example, I will never again let him drive me home. He drives way too fast.
Oh my gosh. Scary when somebody drives you home way too fast.
对，所以绝对不会再让他载我回家。
So the fir tree was taken to a house and covered in decorations and gifts. It became a Christmas tree.
这棵树呢，接着就被带去一间房子，然后身上布满了装饰和礼物。Did you think the tree liked the experience?
I mean, you would hope so, since that was what it was dreaming of,
right?
But we don't know yet. And also, a gold paper star was placed on top. As of course, because every Christmas tree either has a star on top or an angel or something else like that.
所以在这棵树的树顶上呢，还有一个金色的纸星星。
In the next sentence, we see the family's children danced merrily around the tree. So to do something merrily, or in a merry way, is to mean being very happy and cheerful, and kind of like the feeling you get when you are at Christmas. That's why we say Merry Christmas. You feel merry and you act merrily, because merrily is the adverb version. It's showing joy and happiness. So for an example sentence, you could say, the little children ran merrily into the classroom on their first day of school.
Merrily 这个副词呢，代表愉快地、欢乐地。当然，你可以说 happily。那这一家的孩子啊，快乐地围着圣诞树跳舞，就是围着这一棵我们故事的主角，这棵松树。
So they were feeling merry. The children were loving the tree. It was so beautiful. But the tree didn't like it. All the decorations hurt the fir tree's slender body. So slender here is kind of showing how the body is. It's very narrow. It's not wide. Usually of a person, you'd say they are thin in an attractive way. So Elsie is very slender.
Oh, thank you.
But for the tree, you know, it means that its body doesn't have a lot of might. It's not mighty, and it's not really able to stand up well to these decorations. It's feeling very hurt because they're probably heavy. So for an example, for slender, you could say, the baby horse stood up on its slender legs and started to walk for the first time. You ever seen a baby horse get up and walk? Its legs are like sticks. It's very cute.
Slender 这个形容词代表就是细长的，所以这些装饰让这棵松树很疼痛 because it got cut down when it was still young, right? 所以它还是很细长的状态，不 不太大，小小的。So they were too heavy. The decorations were too heavy for the tree.
So, yeah, it got to stay up as a Christmas tree for one night only, apparently. The next morning, servants dragged the tree upstairs to the cold, dark attic. Oh dear. So they dragged it. Basically, they pushed it over and then they pulled it. To drag means to pull something or someone that is heavy or difficult to move. Usually you're dragging it on the floor. So for an example, you could say, let's drag the sofa against the wall so we have more room to move in this room.
Drag 这个动词代表费力的去拖拉某个东西。那过去式跟过去分词记得重复字尾 G 再加 ED 哦。所以课文说到呢，隔天早上仆人们就拖着这棵树到楼上寒冷又阴暗的阁楼。阁楼这个字就是 attic。
So the attic is where it is. It's just up in a room where things are stored. Nobody's looking at it anymore. It doesn't have any decorations anymore. It's not pretty anymore. It's not merry anymore. And it's just sitting there for a whole season because in spring the tree was taken outside.
春天的时候这棵树就被带到屋外去了。
It was excited for life to begin again, but its body had dried up. Yeah, that's what happens to trees when they don't get any water. They dry up. When you dry up, it means you get so dry that there's no more water in it. So when plants dry up, they turn completely brown and shriveled and wrinkly. Sometimes they break in your hand. Or bodies of water can dry up, like lakes can dry up, and that means they're not a lake anymore. Even whole oceans have dried up. The US, a lot of the parts of the US used to be an ocean. And it's all dried up now.
那我们这边呢，来比较一下这个句子当中我们看到的两个动词时态，一个是带出形容词 excited 的 be 动词 was， 它是一个过去简单式；另外一个呢是 had dried up， 那它是一个过去完成。所以呢，我们说身体早已经干枯，所以是在过去先发生的动作，用 day one 我们学过的过去完成式来表示。也就是 had dried up， 那之后才因为要有新生命才感到兴奋，所以用过去简单式表示在过去第二个发生的动作。
So it was excited for its life to start again, but now it's all brown and it's just, it can't really grow anymore. And the tree feels a lot of regret. I didn't enjoy my life when I was younger. Now it's too late, the fir tree thought.
OK， 所以这边呢，这棵松树就心想，我年轻的时候没有好好享受当时的生活，现在太晚了。So who told him that rejoice in your youth?
The sun.
The sun. Okay, not the bird. The sun.
Yeah, the sun told the tree, rejoice in your youth. The tree didn't listen. And now it's too late. Now the tree cannot have a new chance at life. So a boy pulled the gold star off the tree and stuck it to his shirt. To stick something to or stick something on something is to attach it to a surface with glue or tape or a pin or something else. So if you stick something to your shirt, it means it's like a sticker. So that's where sticker comes from, actually. Or you can stick it into something. So like if you stick a pin into a cushion, that means you push it through. So stick can be on or stick can be in. So yeah. I'm going to stick this poster onto my wall so I can see it every day is one example of how we can use stick.
Stick 这个动词是粘贴，那它的三态是 stick, stuck, stuck. 那我们可以是 stick something to or in or on something else. 那就代表的是将某物粘贴至某物上头。那有一个男孩就过来，他将这棵松树上的星星撕下来，粘到他的衬衫上面。
Then a young man cut the tree into small pieces and burned them in a fire. So that's the end of the tree's life.
OK， 所以接着呢，就有一位年轻的男生将这棵树切成小块，然后就放到火里面烧掉。
So the tree is basically, it's at its end. It cannot come back to life anymore. As it burned, the tree fondly remembered its life until it turned to ash. So basically, it didn't appreciate its life when it was younger, but at the moment of death, it is appreciating its life. The tree is fondly remembering. Let's learn what fondly means. So fondly is the adverb form of fond. And fond is something that you would usually hear in a phrase like be fond of. And to be fond is to act in a loving way or see something in a loving way, or sort of to like something. So when you say, I have fond memories of this, it means like you look back on this time and you feel very happy when you think about that. So I'm looking fondly back on my life. It means I'm looking back on my life and thinking, I really liked these parts of my life. I really had a good life, and I feel a lot of love when I remember these times. So fondly is a word that you can hear when people are thinking back on their life or they're thinking about something they love. Now, an example sentence for this could be, at their 50th anniversary party, Grandma and Grandpa looked back fondly on their life together.
Fondly 它是一个副词，代表愉悦地。那你会看到前面有一个形容词是 fond。Fond 这个形容词当作喜欢的来解释，那常见的用法有 be fond of， 像是呢我们可以说 the students are fond of their music class， 代表学生喜欢他们的音乐课。So Kit, what were you fond of doing when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, what was I fond of doing? Drawing. I was always fond of drawing to the point where teachers would tell me to stop drawing in class, even though it helped me listen. I think people know that now, but they didn't know it back then. So yeah, what were you fond of?
Do you really want to know what I was fond of?
Yes, I do.
I was fond of studying English.
Okay, well.
Just joking. Okay, 接下来我们看到 turn to something 是变成点点点。好，所以我们可以说 in the fairy tale, the witch turned the prince into a frog， 代表在童话故事里面呢，女巫将王子变成了青蛙。
So, turning the prince into a frog, and the tree turned into ash. Now, ash is what becomes of anything after it burns, anything solid anyway, and it's the soft gray powder that remains after something like a cigarette or like wood or paper has been totally burned and destroyed by fire. So, yeah, ash is what remains, what is left over after something is burned. And often people who, they die and they are taken for their body to be burned, and then you take their ashes and you can put their ashes somewhere where that person would want to be. That's a pretty common practice. So yeah, the tree turned to ash, but before it did, it was remembering its life. So for an example sentence for ash, you could say, we need to clean the ash out of the fireplace so it doesn't make the air dirty.
Ash 指的就是灰或是灰烬，所以呢，课文最后说到，在燃烧的时候啊，这棵松树就愉悦地回想了它的一生，直到最后就被烧成了灰烬。
So that's the end of the tree's life and the end of the tree's story. Do you think that it could have lived a better life?
Maybe, maybe not. Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can only think about what you're doing going forward and try to live so you don't have any regrets in the end.
Yeah.
Don't look back on your life thinking, I wish I did this. Look back thinking, I'm glad I did this.
So that's the moral of the story.
Exactly. And even though the story is over, the article is not, because we're going to learn in day 3 about the author, Hans Christian Andersen, and about the themes in this story. So join us for day 3, but before that, we're going to go to our For You chat.
For You chat.
All right, our chat question today is kind of a serious one, and it's one that maybe we don't really have an answer for, but what do you think people think about as they're dying?
As they're dying.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would be thinking about, but I know maybe I would be really, really scared. Because I wouldn't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I were dying, hopefully I would not be scared, because I would be like, well, whatever happens after this, what happened before this was good. And I appreciated my life. I was grateful for all the things that happened to me that I did. And I had a lot of good experiences. I mean, hopefully, everybody gets to die later in their life when they're old and, they feel like they've lived a good, long life. That doesn't get to happen for everybody, but, people think different things as they're dying, I think.
Yeah.
So
Okay, this is a really serious question.
yeah, it is. So we can only guess because those people can never tell us. So I mean, maybe this is something you guys can think about on your own. I mean, it's scary to die, but it's part of life. And so it's something that we all have to consider at one point or another. So until day 3, we will see you next time. I'm Kat.
I'm Elsie.
Bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Merrily. The children merrily ran toward the playground as soon as the bell rang. Slender. The slender trees easily bend in the strong wind. Drag. Fiona dragged her scared dog into the exam room at the animal hospital. Stick. Frances put some glue on the paper heart and stuck it to her notebook. Fondly. Tessa has missed her grandfather since he died, and she often talks about him fondly. Ash. The paper caught fire and burned up until it was nothing but ash.
智慧小补帖
Axe. Split. Attic.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询。网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net